What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be poker vlog number 43 back at the South Point. This was the night before Thanksgiving. Played some 2-3, then got called for the 3-5 game. So we got a lot of good hands. The game got really fun by the end of the night. Some good ones to go over. So let's jump right in and we'll see you at the end of the video.
All right, we have one hand to go over from the 2-3 game before we get called for the 3-5. In this one, I'm on the $6 button straddle with 9-10 suited. Action folds around to the cutoff who limps. Small blind takes it up to $22. Big blind calls and the cutoff calls. So I have an easy just call here on the button with a pretty hand in position. So I make the call. We go four ways to a flop 10-8-3 with one club. We flop top pair with some backdoor straight and flush draws, and surprisingly action checks all the way around to me. So I'm definitely going to make a wager here with top pair. I bet 35 bucks. The small blind, the original raiser, folds, and the big blind comes out of nowhere with a min raise to $70. Next player folds and action's on me. You don't see the check min raise very often, so of course we think about all the hands that he might be doing this with. Maybe just a better 10 or maybe 8-10. So I think we have some backdoor outs. I'm never folding for a min raise with this flop, so I make the call for 35 more. The turn card is nice, the king of clubs, so now we pick up a flush draw to go with our pair of 10s. And he continues betting with a small bet, though, $60 on the turn. So I think about almost raising right here, but I don't know if he's trying to induce a raise with this tiny bet. I'm just going to go ahead and realize the equity and make the call. Looking for some help on the river, but we don't get it. It's a queen of diamonds, and my opponent quickly checks to me. I'm confused. I just checked this one back. Want to see what he has. He shows us ace king. So a very interesting line from the big blind there. Pre-flop, he doesn't want to put more money in when he's likely ahead, and then on the flop, he check raises when he's very likely behind. So we lose a nice pot there to start the 2-3 game, and that's about it over there. We win and lose a few more pots before getting called for 3-5. We lost $278. Let's get started over here. First interesting hand over here. I look down at queen 8 suited from under the gun. This is always just a fold, but when I sit at a new table that looks pretty tight, I'm going to go ahead and start creating action. So that's what I do. I open for $15. Next player calls 15, and the cutoff calls as well. The blinds get out of the way, so we go three ways to a flop that brings 9-8-4 with a few clubs. This flop's not going to connect very well with me most of the time here, so I go ahead and just check this one. Next player checks to the cutoff, who bets $25. We're never folding middle pair, of course, when we raise with queen 8, so I make the call and the next player calls. Turn, we bank the 8 of hearts. No waiting on the turn for trips. I go ahead and check for the same reasons on the flop. This card's not going to hit me very often. Next player checks and the cutoff checks. River, unbelievable. Queen of clubs, looks like the money card. Hopefully one player had a flush draw there. I check, praying for a bet. Next player checks. Come on, cutoff, have something. And he does. He fires out a bet of $100. Hopefully he completes his flush right here. I go ahead and put in the check raise to $320. Next player gets out of the way. Cutoff goes into the tank for quite a while. He has about $600 in his stack, and he tosses out the call. And we show our very unsuspecting queen 8 suited for a runner full house and take down a nice big pot that gets us a winner right off the bat. All right, this will be a fun one to chat about. We have a fight that's breaking out at the table right behind us. So a lot of commotion going on. A few players are walking. Player on my left's getting out of the way so he doesn't get hit. I look down at pocket sixes and open for $15. Next player's hand gets mucked because he's away from the table. We get a call from the hijack and the cutoff. Action's on the button now, who puts in the squeeze, makes it $90. So it's a pretty big sizing. He is a very capable player on the button, so I feel like he can be doing this with a lot of hands. With all the action going on the side, I feel like this might be a decent spot to turn my hand into a bluff instead of just calling the 90 out of position with a small pair. So that's what I do. I make a big raise and make it $425. I know it's on the larger size, but that's what I've been doing pretty much out of position. I've been like 4xing plus the dead money, so pretty close to what I would do probably with aces or kings anyway, but maybe 4-bet sizings can be a little bit smaller. Let me know what you guys would have done had you turned this hand into a bluff. Maybe I can accomplish the same thing with a raise to maybe like 300 to 375 or something like that. Anyways, the next two players fold. Action's back on the button, who's in the tank for a while and decides to rip it all in for a total of $1,525. It's exactly what we didn't want to see. We thought he was getting out of line, but the 5-bet shove is going to be pretty damn strong in this 3-5 game. So I eventually let this one go, but let me know what you guys would have done. Typically, I'm just going to let those sixes go for $90, but with everything going on and the fact that he was on the button, I kind of thought it might be a good spot, but does not go our way. So let's move on. Game is spicing up now. We got some straddles and some drinking going on. This one we look down at ace queen offsuit from the small blind. The $10 under the gun straddle is on. Action folds to the cutoff, who raises to 40 bucks. I am in the small blind, out of position with ace queen here. We're definitely 3-betting a late position raise, so I take it up to $175. Just like earlier, I told you I've been 4xing plus the dead money, so that's what I do. Make it 175, and she comes along and makes the call. So we're going heads up to a very nice flop, queen high, queen 4-3 rainbow. Of course, we're going to be betting small here 100% of the time, whether we miss or connect with this board after 3-betting. So that's what I do. I bet $120, hoping to entice her to make a call with, say, like 9s, 10s, or jacks. Maybe she'll want to peel one more card for that price, but she does eventually find the fold and shows us ace king. So we got very lucky to outflop her, but most times what's going to happen is we're both going to miss that flop. I'm going to be the aggressor, so I'm going to take it down with a worse hand. We got lucky to hit the queen on that one, but that's why you can be more aggressive now with ace king, because a lot of players like me are going to be squeezing with much worse hands. So if she 4-bets me there pre-flop, she's just going to take it down. But we pick up a nice pot there with some luck. Next, we look down at ace queen offsuit again, this time from under the gun +1. I open for $20. We see calls from the player on my left, the button, and the big blind. So we're going 4 ways to a pretty good flop, king, queen, deuce, rainbow. Here comes the big blind with a bet. She leads right out for $35 into 3 players. You guys, we've talked about this almost every vlog. The lead into the razor is typically weak, 1-pair hand or a draw. So normally I'm going to put pressure on her with a raise, but I have 2 players behind. Our hand's pretty strong here, so I just make the call. Next player calls and the button folds. So we're going 3 ways to an 8 of hearts on the turn. It's a blank. She checks. I debate betting this one, but not sure if the player on my left or her can fold a king. So I go ahead and check, and the next player checks, which is good news. River is a total blank, 6 of diamonds. The obvious draws miss, like 10 jack. And here comes the big blind with a bet of $50. It's such a small value bet that I feel like she's milking me here with a king, maybe like king 10, king 9. But it's too good of a price to let it go, so I make the call. Next player folds. We get the good news when she shows queen jack, so we get her out kicked on that one. Not sure if she was betting for value or trying to make a very small bluff on the river there, but I'll take it. We win a nice pot with the second pair. Guys, I can't stop getting ace queen offsuit. Here we go again, this time in the cutoff. Action folds around to me and I raise to $20. We get a call from the button, small blind, and big blind. So we're going 4 ways to another flop, which is nice. Queen high, queen 9-3 with 2 spades. Great flop, top pair, top kicker, and we have the queen of spades. So when action checks around to me, I'm going to want to bet for some value. So that's what I do. I bet $50. Button folds, but we get calls from the small blind and the big blind. 3 ways to a blank, 7 of diamonds on the turn. Both players check to me. I don't think this card connects well with either of them. So I think it's time to size up here, get some value from the worst queens, deny equity from the spades and straight draws. So that's what I do. I bet $160. The small blind quickly makes the call. He's a complete wild card. He can have any pair, any draw. Played with him many times. And the big blind comes along now. So I think we're still ahead. I just think we need to dodge a lot of cards on the river, but we don't. The river is a 7 of spades. Pairing the board with a spade, the front door flush gets there. Both players check to me. I'm happily check this one back, hoping we're good, but the small blind shows 4-6 of spades for a rivered flush. So that was a big pot there that we missed out on, but as you can see, we're in a very good game with the player in the middle drawing at a 6-high flush with a larger size bet there on the turn and a player behind. So let's keep on going. Next, I'm on the $10 button straddle and look down at ace-5 offsuit. Action folds around to the cutoff, who raises to $30. I'm in a pretty aggressive mood tonight, so I decide to take this one up, put in a 3-bet, make it 110 to play, put pressure on the cutoff's range. To my surprise, the small blind folds and the big blind cold calls the 110. And that's going to bring in the cutoff, who calls as well. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop with a pretty bad hand. At least we're in position and can get away from it easily. So let's take a flop. Flop comes 7-6-3 all clubs. So we have a little hope with a gut shot and an overcard. Both players check to me as expected. Definitely going to take the free card here with no club. I feel like the big blind probably has a pretty good sized pair to cold call 110. So that's what I do. I check, and we do improve with the ace of hearts on the turn. Both players check again, so I think we have the green light to fire with top pair here. Don't want to go too big though. Maybe we can get some value from maybe a smaller pair containing a club. Any better ace is going to call us for sure, so we can just shut down on the river if that happens. But the next player folds, and the cutoff goes into the tank for quite a while. Feels like he has a hand, exactly what we're thinking about. Maybe some sort of middling pair with a club, and he ends up letting it go. So we pick up a nice pot with a pretty crappy hand. Next, we are in the big blind and look down at pocket nines. This hand, the under the gun straddle, is on for 10. We see limp from the cutoff and small blind. I take it up to $55, looking to isolate, get it heads up. But we get calls from the straddler and the cutoff. So we're taking it three ways to a flop. 10, 9, 6 with two spades. We flop middle set. Action's on me, and guys, I don't know about the correct sizing on a flop like this. I think a lot of times I'm going to have overcards and big overpairs, so I'm probably going to bet small or check. So I decided to keep this one small, bet 50 bucks. Both of my opponents are fairly shallow too. Next player, I believe, has about 600, and the cutoff has 150. So I make it 50 to play. Straddler folds, and the cutoff takes some time and shoves in his last 150. We obviously make the call. Board runs out. 10 of clubs, 8 of spades. So we fill up. I just show, and we are good with nines full. So we're going to take down a nice pot here.
Nice hand. Thanks.
Next, it's my under the gun straddle for $10. We look down at king 8 suited. Action folds around to the button, who makes it $30 to play. Small blind calls. Think we got a decent candidate here to squeeze every once in a while, especially with an aggressive player on the button. So that's what I do. I take it up to 140 to play. The button is the same opponent from earlier who ripped it in on my pocket sixes. This time he elects to just call the 140. Small blind gets out of the way, so we're going heads up to a flop that brings jack 9 7 all diamonds. Kind of similar earlier with the ace 5, where we have a little hope with a gut shot. But I'm always going to bet here 100% of the time and size it down a little bit. So I make it 135 to go. And luckily, he quickly lets this one go. And this bluff gets through. Next, we look down at a real hand, ace-king offsuit from middle position. We see a limp from under the gun +1. I take it up to $20 to play. Action is on the hijack, who makes the call. Cutoff makes the call. Small blind gets out of the way. Here comes the big blind with a squeeze, makes it $75, kind of on the smaller side, but he is pretty short. He has almost exactly 400. So guys, action's back on me. 100 big blinds or less, I'm going to be happy to just get it in here. Ace king versus short stack. So I just toss out 315 to isolate, thinking that's what's going to happen. But action is on the small blind now, who wants to back jam, putting in his remaining stack, about a total of 500 exactly. Doesn't seem thrilled about it though. Just seems like he's ready to maybe get out of here. So he puts it in. Action back on the big blind, who sticks it all in as well. Obviously I call. So we're going three ways all in here with ace king. Let's see the board. Here we go, guys. Three ways, massive all in. Look at this door card, the ace of diamonds. It comes ace 7 6 all diamonds. In the moment I didn't know if I had the king of diamonds since I was filming the board. But it runs out. King of hearts, king of spades for overkill. We make kings full for a monster hand. Big blind had pocket jacks. Other player didn't show. So we pick up about a $900 profit there. We're cruising right along. Now we're up about $700 or $800 on the session.
Wow.
This brings us to the last interesting one of the night, when we look down at king 10 on my $10 button straddle. Player on my right, min clicks, makes it 20 to play. I obviously call. The blinds fold. So we're going heads up to a flop that brings ace king 10. We are running hot, flop bottom 2 pair. He likes it as well. He thinks it's good enough to put in all of his money. He has $127, puts it all in. I obviously make the call. And let's run this one out. Here we go, looking for a safe turn, and we get it. It's the 7 of hearts, but the river is anything but. It's the jack of clubs. My opponent rolls over pocket queens for a rivered straight. So it's not a happy ending on this one, but can't complain. We won that massive one with ace king, so we're going to book a profit on the night. In the 2-5 game for 1820, out for 2460. We're going to need some empty racks, please.
Alright guys, that's it for episode number 43. If you enjoyed the hands, please hit that like, subscribe, notification bell, because the videos are going to be dropping all over the place. That was a fun session. Played pretty darn aggressive that one. What do you guys think about the pocket sixes? I hate the size. I don't hate the sizing, but I think we could have went a little bit smaller. Didn't have to get out of line and turn it into a bluff, but hey, I'm just playing the game. That's what I do. But it was fun. At least we came out on top at the end of the night with a $350 win or so. So that was nice. That's about it. Tomorrow, well, today is November 20th. Tomorrow's the meetup game. I think I'm gonna go tomorrow and see Andrew and them guys at the Win. First time I can ever get to a meetup game from 10 a.m. until whenever it's over. And so the next video will probably be if we have enough hands from there, or a combination of that session and another one. So that's gonna do it for this one. Stay to the end for a cool trick shot. Stay tuned for the next video. We'll see you next time. Peace.